It is coming up 6:08. Retirement villages are meant to be a place where older people feel taken care of. But campaigners are pushing for an urgent overhaul on a system they say is taking advantage of our vulnerable through misleading contracts, alleging some retirees are financially trapped in toxic environments with nowhere to complain and being charged for repairs on things like water cylinders and sinks. Ex-resident Sue England is with us. We'll hear her story shortly. But first, Retirement Village Residents Association Vice President Di Sinclair is with us. Morena Di, thank you for being with us. Now, you take numerous complaints from those who are living in these villages. And I know you've brought this in to me. This is a document which is 92 pages long, and it's got some of the concerns from residents. So can you give us a bit of an overview of what some of those complaints are?
Yes, they're mainly concerned about the problems complaining. The complaint system is out of date and not fit for purpose anymore. It was drawn up 20 years ago, and it really needs to be reviewed.
So residents are finding it hard to make any complaints,
well, they
or
can
get a resolution.
Yes, there is a system, but it's long and complicated and can take up to 3 years to get a resolution. Wow. Often the complaints can be sorted out right at the basic level with the manager, but often they can't, and there's a complicated system to have to go through. What we're wanting is for a commissioner type person to be put in charge with the power to hear both sides of the argument and make a binding decision within 3 weeks.
What are some of the other issues that residents are talking about? Look at this executive summary. 97% believe the responsibility for maintenance and repairs should be assigned to the operator. But that's not the case in some of these places.
No, that's right. Some of them, the maintenance and repairs are the job of the operator, and that's good. That's what we want. But a lot of them still are not doing that. They have things like, if your water cylinder blows, you have to pay for it. You don't own those chattels. You don't own anything. You have a licence to occupy. Therefore, you should not be paying for the repairs and maintenance of your chattels. And the Commerce Commission has been quite outspoken about this and has written to the operators saying it's not appropriate, it must stop, but it carries on. Now, since we started the review, some of the operators have made changes voluntarily, and that's good, but there is still a long way to go.
So I also want to put this in perspective. So when someone enters a retirement village, they're paying, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 or whatever to occupy this home. Yes. They don't own it; they occupy it.
They have a license to occupy.
They have a license to occupy it, but when they leave, what happens at that point?
Well, it depends how they leave. If they decide they don't want to live there anymore, for whatever reason, and there's lots of reasons, then they can leave, but they cannot get their capital sum out until their unit has been relicensed. Now, that can take up to 2 years. We've had some cases, and meanwhile those people are in limbo. They have nowhere to go.
And all their money is invested in that one property.
And no interest payment, nothing. And the minimum time we've had is 6 months on one particular company, which is great, but often it's 9 months, and the RVA has said, oh well, we may start paying some interest after 9 months. We're talking lots of money here.
But there's no regulation to say that these, after a certain period of time, the money needs to be returned.
I mean, where else in the world, Jenny May, would you get a $600,000 interest-free loan with no mandatory payback period?
Di, I want you to stay with us because I want to talk to Sue, who is joining us this morning. Sue England, thank you so much for your time this morning. Sue, no doubt that the dream was sold to you about going into these retirement homes. You were in there for 5 years. What was the actual experience like?
Initially it was fine. I went in there basically thinking I was moving into a safe and secure environment where I'd be treated with dignity and respect. But unfortunately, as time moved on, that didn't actually eventuate. I felt intimidated and not safe at all. The manager was also an owner-operator, so I didn't actually, I tried to raise with her some of, how I felt. There were others in the village that felt the same way. So, I'd look to see is it something I'd done, but no, I didn't think so. And it just wasn't what I expected it to be.
So when you tried to leave the village, what happened?
I approached one of the other directors in the company that owned the village, and I explained what was happening. And I said, I can't really afford to leave because I was at the stage where I would lose all of my, all of my deferred management fee. And initially they said that they'd pay more, but after a long sort of drawn out process, which was quite emotional for me, they said no. And so I ended up having to leave the village anyway. And I was lucky I was in a position to borrow some money until I could get the money from my villa. But there are a lot of people that don't have that opportunity. And, my mental health suffered as well as my financial situation. And I'm just pleased that I did manage to get out. And it wasn't, sorry.
No. I'm sorry that this has happened to you, and I so appreciate you being willing to come on television to talk about your story, to highlight some of the issues that not only you but others are feeling as well. I do want to ask you, you've had a previous work in law. How would you describe the contract that you signed?
I do come from a legal background, and I felt that I understood the ORA that I was involved in. I also had the independent legal advice. They're quite wordy, and they're not straightforward. Everyone's, they all vary. I'm not sure how someone without my, a background would fully understand them. And I thought I did fully understand them, but I didn't ever envisage the situation I found myself in, where if I complained about the treatment that I was getting, and also some other residents, that I would have to complain to the manager, who was the person that I was complaining about. So there was no independent. There is a complaints process, but it is unwieldy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Di was talking about, and that changes should include an ombudsman or someone independent, right? So thank you for being with us and, again, telling us your personal story. I really appreciate it. Di, I've got to wrap things up, and I know this conversation is a lot bigger than what we've just touched on this morning, but a review is underway. Is it going fast enough?
Oh, well, we've been working on this review for 3 years now.
Yep.
In 2021, the Retirement Commissioner said it's urgent, it has to be done. And here we are in 2024. And this is one of the things that we're trying to get the government to understand, is that for us older residents, time is of the essence. We don't have all these time to hang around and, it just doesn't happen like that.
Well, the average age of someone living in a retirement
82.
home is 82.
Yes.
Di Sinclair, thank you for fighting a good fight. We really appreciate you being with us this morning. And Sue, much love to you. Sue England's joining us as well. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.